Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. Let's just dive in, and let's start off with this tweet here from Ashley Prosper 1. So we do see XRP community. It would appear that JP Morgan has initiated an aggressive takeover scheme to try and become the bank for crypto, and they have enlisted their friends in government to help them achieve it. Every thread I'm pulling on seems to lead back to them in one way or another. And we do see, we've seen this before. Now, what is very interesting about this entire situation with JP Morgan is that this is exactly why I got away from traditional finance. It's the number one reason why I really started going heavy into crypto as well, is because I'm tired of living in this game of monopoly that is being built around us. A lot of individuals are blinded by it. They don't really see it. They don't focus on it. But ultimately, the system is designed and programmed against you. And all of the control and all of the money, it all leads back to those that are the elites around the traditional financial world. And JP Morgan is the biggest player of the game. As we look at JP Morgan, what just recently happened was absolutely ridiculous. Check this out. From the Kabaisi letter. You can't make this up. JP Morgan just said its acquisition of First Republic will generate a one-time gain of $2.6 billion. They also expect over $500 million in profit per year from the acquisition. On top of this, the FDIC is covering $13 billion in losses and providing $50 billion in financing. This is all while JP Morgan is technically not allowed to acquire a deposit accepting bank due to regulations. You're witnessing the product of a flawed system. It's clear why no one wanted to buy First Republic until it collapsed. Large banks know that collapsed banks come with perks and shared losses by the FDIC. FDIC needed help, and JP Morgan is making billions off of it. Yes, this is the game of monopoly. These are the individuals making tons of money off of the losses of individuals and also those smaller banks. JP Morgan is swallowing up the traditional financial world. This is not just a flawed system. This is also a game of monopoly. It's all corrupt. This is one of the most corrupt systems in history. And as we look over here from Wendy O, we do see JP Morgan will take over FRC. This is called monopolization. You do not want a monopoly. They are dangerous and threatens the very essence of capitalism and harms small business. No competition means less services. Less services mean less freedom. And this is exactly why we start to see targeting of XRP and targeting of other major assets within the space. It's because they don't want you in control of your money. They want that money in the bank. You ever question why? Very simple. They make money off of it while screwing you. You know, the amount of money that you actually earn from a savings account is comical. It's comical. But they earn well over 5%. And it's crazy to me that no one ever questions this. We continue to see regulators and those that are in higher positions call crypto a fraud and a scam and this and that. They're shutting down staking services because they say that it's too risky. Yet guess what? We have banks extremely over leveraged, utilizing customer funds and deposits. And when they go, belly up, guess who comes in and swoops them up? JP Morgan and the much larger banks. And of course, the FDIC helps cover depositors. But what happens when the FDIC runs out of money? Because that will soon happen. And we'll talk about that. But over here, we do see crash imminent. This one looks really bad. Inverse Kramer. We do see I'm a bear when it's called for. Like in 2007. Remember, 2007, Jim Cramer was actually late to the party. And he was telling everyone that their deposits and their bank accounts and everything was all fine. And then guess what happened? Everything collapsed. But we do see, but this stock market belongs to the bulls. This got posted on the 30th, April 30th. What's crazy to me is that, yes, a crash is coming. A lot of people think that's going to be imminent. A lot of people think that's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, this year. I actually tend to go against the herd. I don't believe that's going to happen this year. I think that crypto itself, by the way, is going to do very well this year. I've talked about this many times on this channel as well. And I do think that the macro is actually very bullish for crypto, as I think that a lot of people will flock to crypto from the banking sector. But I do believe that we will see a 2008-like event that is going to be much larger than 2008, and ultimately it might even be much larger than the Great Depression. But we do see over here from Charlie Munger, he is warning that trouble is ahead for the U.S. commercial property market, and U.S. banks are packed with bad loans. Everyone can see this coming. Central banks will act confused when more cracks appear. Now, what's interesting about this is that we recently seen a report that banks were actually losing a lot of money even on mortgages as well. Because again, a lot of these loans that they are dishing out are bad loans. It's also the number one reason why a lot of banks don't want to lend right now. I remember putting this video in a recent one of my videos. This is actually from Peter. By the way, go check out Peter over on YouTube as well as on Twitter. But we do see, we spoke to over 100 banks. Not one will provide financing. Remember this video? This is going all the way back to April 25th. Listen closely to this video.
Zero Hedge has a great article yesterday on credit hitting an absolute wall. In short, it's much worse than a normal recession, at least so far, suggesting something fundamental may have broken in the economy. So first, what happened? The article by One River's Eric Peters describes a major developer with a strong track record who's putting up a 30-story project in a top-tier U.S. city. Their lender suddenly pulled financing, meaning they had to scramble to find another bank. They called, quote, well over 100 banks. Not one will provide financing. By the way, the developer had built right through the 2008 crisis, where real estate was literally ground zero, and says he has never seen anything like this. So this should not be happening. It shouldn't be this bad, not this early. Higher rates on loans, sure, but not 100 banks refusing to lend at all to a major developer in a major city. Worse, we're already seeing more of this. Last week, I talked about major banks rescinding their car dealer floor plans. That's how dealers get a hold of cars in the first place. If this is happening more widely, it suggests banks are absolutely panicked, suggesting the entire banking system is in danger of seizing up. That would, of course, be catastrophic for jobs, for the businesses that maintain those jobs. It would also be catastrophic for customers who've grown utterly dependent on a free flow of credit. So why is this abnormal? Well, in a normal recession, it happens when credit is suddenly choked off. That causes a bunch of businesses to fail all at once. This normally doesn't happen on its own outside of war or a social collapse. Those are things that would make everybody suddenly stop lending. But modern central banks managed to pull this off with ease by simply yanking up interest rates. They do that to fight the inflation they caused with ease by yanking interest rates too low in the first place. Now, in a normal recession from the outside, what we see is business loans might go from 4% to 8%. Car loans might go from 0% to 7%. This culls the herd, wiping out the crappy businesses, the malinvestments, that only survived on the cheap money. And consumers, of course, pull back. Taken together, that is a classic recession. But this time is different. So far, at least, it is a lot worse. Loans aren't just getting more expensive, they are hitting a complete wall. If this keeps up, we could see loans dry up for cars, for businesses, small businesses especially, even mortgages, financing for things like replacing your roof. This would be extraordinarily disruptive to an American economy that's grown utterly dependent on 20 years of almost uninterrupted easy money and the credit it pours on them. Like a bicycle, if you stop pedaling, it could fall down. So what happens next? If credit has hit a wall, we will see deafening demands for the Fed to step in and print up what nobody will loan, meaning a return to the very inflation that kicked off the recession in the first place. We'll know over the next 12 to 18 months if this is just a normal recession or if indeed we are in new territory. But in the meantime, reports like this are certainly not encouraging. Okay, we'll be watching. See you.
And this is exactly what I've been watching for because, again, I've always told everyone that banks are not your friend. They will not lend to you when the time to buy is right, but they will lend to you at the worst times. Currently speaking, does this mean that right now is the time to buy? Absolutely. Absolutely not. I do think that they won't lend to us probably for the next roughly 6 months, maybe even a year, maybe even longer. 12 to 18 months is a perfect time frame that Peter's actually suggesting here, because even during 2008, most people were not going to be able to get a loan for at least another year, 2 years out, possibly even 3 years. So as we really kind of look at what's happening right now around the banking and the financial sector, we are seeing collapses happening a lot faster. We are seeing a lot of problems arise, and very similar to what Charlie Munger is actually saying over here around commercialized loans. The interesting thing about this is that when we go over here to commercial real estate, here's small banks and their share of commercial real estate loans. So going all the way back to 2008, it was about 54%. Today is 70%. This is the highest amount of percentage of commercial real estate loans held by small banks since going all the way back to 2008 and probably even previous. Meanwhile, over $1.5 trillion worth of commercial real estate debt is set to mature by the end of 2025. Regional banks are already in trouble, and this will add fuel to the fire. This is a much bigger crisis in the making. And yes, this is most likely going to cause a lot of stress onto the banking sector. This is also why I believe that, we might not see a major recession just yet, or if you will, depression, transition, however you want to call it, because a lot of people think that this is that transitional period where we get away from, the traditional world of finance and we usher into the digital age of finance, which could very well be a possibility. But as we do look at this, I don't believe that it's going to take until 2025. I think that this happens a lot sooner than 2025. I think that we're already kind of starting to see the fire spreading. And I think that going back to March when the first bank started to collapse was a big key to that. But as we really look at what's happening right now, we also have to look at what's going to be happening this summer. FedNow launches, right? And we do see over here for Macro Alf, due to the digitization of finance, the speed at which bank runs can happen today is incredible. As Goldman notes, in 2008, it took 9 days for Washington Mutual to lose $18 billion in deposits. In 2023, it took 4 hours for SVB to lose $42 billion worth of deposits. And yes, digitization is going to streamline a lot of this. Remember that video that I played with Caitlin Long talking about FedNow and how digitization and streamlining this entire world of finance 24/7, 365, having those immediate deposits and even withdrawals, how that adds fuel to the fire, sorry. Yeah, that's because digitization will increase the speed of bank runs. It will increase the speed of which individuals can actually take their money out. This is going to be a very big problem, and I do believe that it is all by plan. I believe that they are trying to collapse the traditional system. But the biggest problem that I see is a lot of people are oblivious to what's actually happening. I actually seen somebody post, it was actually Crypto Sensei. He said, I sit down to a family dinner with my mom's boyfriend's side of the family. Nobody cares about digital assets and failing banks. It's just sad the amount of people that have no clue what's actually happening around the world, and especially in the USA. When I try to bring up a topic about it and it's silence, we all need to wake up, people. Next 2 to 5 years, their lives will forever change. And yes, I have been talking about this for a while on this channel. I believe that there's a lot of individuals that are oblivious to what's happening. And most, I would argue, it's well in the 90 percentile. A lot of them are just blind to what's really happening around the world of finance. And they will soon get a major wake-up call. And I've talked about this even with CBDCs, right? As they are trying to usher in CBDCs, a lot of people will say, oh, this is great. This is very beneficial for, everyday life and the world of finance. But they don't really see what's on the back end of them, which is the control system and the programmability of money, which could ultimately usher in, sanctions on individuals and nations. And there's so many problems tied to CBDCs, but a lot of people just don't understand the technology. They don't realize, they don't have the knowledge. So a lot of people, yes, I believe, need to wake up to what's really happening. And as we really kind of look at the scary truth behind all of it is the idea of bail-ins. Bail-ins are a real thing. The FDIC could essentially swallow up your money and bail out banks without having to print money or, source money from the Fed. It's a scary time that we are living in, but I think that everyone should 100% wake up to the reality of, hey, the US is in trouble. The global financial system is in turmoil, and it's only going to get worse from here on out. That's why we need to make sure that we are stacking, crypto, and we are diversifying outside of fiat. Gold is a great start. I also think that crypto is an incredible area of interest as well. I've been stockpiling silver. I think that silver will actually have a better ROI than gold. I've also been looking into physical items and tangible items because, you know, everything as we know it will most likely skyrocket in cost because of hyperinflation. And, you know, fiat currency as we know it has failed. So I'm not holding the US dollar right now. I'm not holding money in my bank account. There's money in the bank account just to cover bills. But besides that, all my money is out of the bank because I do not trust these banks at all. I think that they are extremely weak right now. But with all that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, set notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me over on Twitter, as well as join the free Discord down in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. That's been Nick. Peace out, guys.